There is a power that moves through all things, an invisible intelligence that governs every heartbeat, every sunrise, every turn of the earth. It asks nothing of you but your faith, your stillness, and your knowing. When you understand this power, you stop struggling. You stop forcing. You stop trying to push rivers that are already flowing in your favor. Life was never meant to be a battlefield. It was designed to be a beautiful dance between thought and manifestation, belief and reality, desire and effortless fulfillment. The world has taught us that success demands sweat, that dreams require endless toil, that worth is measured by exhaustion. Yet the universe whispers a different truth. What belongs to you cannot miss you, and what you truly claim in consciousness will appear without strain. The art of not trying is the art of alignment, of moving in rhythm with the unseen laws that shape our visible world. When you release effort, you do not release intention. When you let go, you do not abandon purpose. You simply stop fighting with life. You stop doubting the divine order that already knows the way. Trying comes from fear. Fear that you are not enough. Fear that the world is not abundant. Fear that you must earn what is already yours by right of consciousness. But when you rest and trust, when you speak the word and let it be, things fall into place with grace and precision. You do not need to chase opportunities when you are aligned with your own frequency of good. What is yours will recognize you. The door that belongs to you will open at your knock. Not because you forced it, but because you stood before it in certainty. The universe does not respond to strain. It responds to energy. The harder you try, the more you affirm that what you want is not yet here. The more you relax into faith, the more you declare that it already is. Consider the flowers in the field. They do not strive to bloom, they simply turn toward the light. Their beauty unfolds naturally because they trust the sun. So too must you trust your own divine timing. You are not here to struggle, you are here to remember your power. The art of not trying is the art of surrendering to the knowing that all things are already accomplished in the unseen, before they appear in the seen. When you desire something, peace, love, wealth, healing, the first step is not to go out and chase it. The first step is to become still. To recognize that the desire itself is the proof of its fulfillment. For you could not desire a thing unless it already existed for you in the divine realm. You do not make it happen, you allow it to happen. The seed has already been planted. Your only task is to hold the vision and trust the process. Stop trying to control every detail. Control is the language of fear. Faith is the language of creation. Every time you try to force results, you step out of the current of abundance and into the eddies of doubt. The moment you release your grip and affirm, "It is already mine," you re-enter the flow. Then life begins to move people, places, and events in perfect harmony to deliver what you asked for. You have been conditioned to believe that miracles require effort, but miracles require belief. Trying too hard blocks what faith would easily deliver. Imagine the person who plants a seed and then digs it up each day to check if it has sprouted. The seed does not need your interference, it needs your trust. So it is with your dreams. When you keep digging them up with worry, fear, and constant effort, you delay their growth. But when you plant them in confidence, and walk away knowing they are taking root, life brings the harvest in its perfect hour. The art of not trying is not laziness. It is spiritual precision. It is acting only when guided, speaking only when inspired, moving only when the inner voice says, "Now." It is learning to rest in divine timing rather than human haste. It is understanding that the invisible power within you is infinitely wiser than your reasoning mind. The mind says, "I must figure this out." The spirit says, "It is already done." The mind says, "I must make this happen." The spirit says, "I will let it happen." The shift from effort to ease is the shift from human limitation to divine cooperation. Your words are the bridge between thought and form. When you declare your desire, speak as though it is already true. I am wealthy. I am loved. I am successful. Everything I need is unfolding for me. Then stop trying to prove those words through struggle. Simply hold them in peace. The vibration of your certainty will magnetize the conditions that match it. The universe is an echo. It returns to you whatever tone you send out. If your words carry doubt, you receive delay. If your words carry faith, you receive fulfillment. You must learn the stillness of knowing, the calm of assurance, the serenity of one who trusts the invisible law. When your consciousness is anchored in faith, nothing can shake your results. Life will seem to rearrange itself to accommodate your vision. The phone call will come. The opportunity will appear. The person you need will cross your path at the exact moment you need them. These are not coincidences. They are the visible effects of your invisible alignment. Every time you release trying, you open the door for grace. Grace works best when you stop meddling with the how and simply affirm the what. You are not the worker of the miracle, you are the witness. You are not the creator of the supply, you are the receiver. You do not pull the tide, you ride it. When you live in this truth, you will notice how easily life unfolds, how problems dissolve, how answers arrive, how things you once struggled to attain now seem to come unbidden. The power that created you knows your path. It does not need your worry, your force, or your exhaustion. It needs your alignment, your peace, and your word. The art of not trying is to trust so deeply that effort becomes unnecessary. To rest so completely in faith that manifestation becomes inevitable. You attract not by striving but by being. You receive not by laboring but by aligning. You succeed not by chasing but by allowing. The moment you stop trying to make it happen and start believing that it already has, everything begins to move in your favor, effortlessly. Alignment, not effort, creates manifestation, because the universe does not respond to force but to frequency. Every desire that you hold is not something you must chase, but something you must match. When you are aligned with the vibration of what you want, you draw it to you with ease, without the exhaustion that comes from striving. Alignment is the invisible bridge between thought and reality, the silent harmony between your inner belief and outer circumstance. Most people struggle because they believe their effort alone can bend life to their will. Yet true creation happens through inner agreement, not outer exertion. When your thoughts, emotions, and words move in the same rhythm, the external world mirrors that harmony without resistance. The law that governs manifestation is not one of struggle but of resonance. You attract what you are, not what you try to be. The more you chase something, the more you affirm that it is missing, the more you align with it, the more it flows naturally toward you. To understand alignment is to understand that everything in this universe vibrates. Thoughts are energy, feelings are energy, and so are the circumstances that appear in your life. If your inner vibration is rooted in lack, you will continue to meet experiences that reflect that lack. But when your inner vibration is grounded in abundance, love, peace, and confidence, you begin to move into harmony with experiences that express those very qualities. This is not about pretending or forcing positive thoughts. It is about embodying the state of already having what you desire. When you live from that state, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to match it. This is alignment. It is not about working harder, it is about being clearer. The moment your inner world agrees with your desire, manifestation becomes the natural result. Effort alone cannot create alignment, because effort comes from the belief that something must be forced into existence. When you try too hard, you step into the energy of resistance. You are telling the universe, I do not have it yet, and I must fight to get it. That declaration contradicts the essence of faith. Effort is useful only when it flows from inspired action. Action that comes from inner certainty rather than desperation. True power lies not in the force of your actions, but in the clarity of your vibration. You cannot hold thoughts of lack and expect abundance. You cannot feel unworthy and attract love. You cannot doubt your path and expect miracles. The work is internal alignment. The rest is automatic. Like a magnet, your inner state determines what you draw near. When your thoughts, words, and emotions are tuned to the same frequency as your desire, it manifests without struggle. Alignment is achieved when you stop trying to make life conform to your expectations, and instead allow life to express its intelligence through you. It is a shift from control to cooperation, from tension to trust. When you align, you no longer see yourself as separate from what you desire. You recognize that it already exists in potential form, and that your only task is to attune yourself to it. Just as a radio must be tuned to the correct frequency to receive a signal, you must tune your consciousness to the vibration of your desire. You do this through belief, gratitude, and imagination. When you think thoughts of abundance, you vibrate abundance. When you speak words of confidence, you invite confident outcomes. When you imagine success as though it were already real, you activate the energy that brings it into being. Alignment begins with the awareness that the universe mirrors your dominant vibration, not your momentary wishes. Many people confuse action with progress, but aligned action feels different from forced effort. When you are aligned, your actions are light, joyful, and inspired. You do not question them because they arise naturally. There is no pressure, no strain, no self-doubt. Things unfold as if guided by an unseen hand. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. People appear who help you. Opportunities flow toward you. This is the evidence of alignment. When you are out of alignment, every step feels heavy, frustrating, and confusing. You push and push, yet nothing seems to move. That is the universe signaling that your vibration and your desire are out of sync. The solution is never to push harder. It is to return inward and realign your energy. As you do, outer movement follows with grace. Alignment also means emotional harmony. Your emotions are your internal compass. They reveal whether you are moving toward or away from what you desire. When you feel joy, peace, and gratitude, you are aligned. When you feel fear, doubt, or frustration, you are resisting. Instead of trying to suppress negative emotions, recognize them as guidance. They are showing you where your thoughts contradict your desires. When you feel lack, you are focusing on absence. When you feel frustration, you are focusing on delay. When you feel ease, you are focusing on fulfillment. To align, shift your focus gently toward what feels good, what feels possible, what feels certain. Each thought of faith replaces a thought of doubt. Each word of gratitude replaces a word of worry. Slowly, your inner world stabilizes into the frequency of your desire. Alignment is not achieved once and for all. It is maintained through awareness. You must become conscious of the stories you tell yourself daily. Every, "I can't," separates you from what you want. Every, "It's too hard," delays it. Every, "I already have it," magnetizes it. Words are seeds and alignment is the soil. You cannot plant seeds of limitation and expect a harvest of freedom. Your inner dialogue must match your desired outcome. Speak life into your dreams. Feel as if they are already true. Act as though the universe is your partner, not your opponent. When your mind, heart, and speech are unified in certainty, the external world mirrors that certainty with precision. When you are aligned, you become a vessel for divine intelligence. Inspiration flows through you. Answers come without effort. Paths unfold without planning. You stop questioning how things will work and start trusting that they are already working. The right people appear at the perfect moment. The right doors open with ease. The resources you need present themselves naturally. This is not coincidence. This is the law of alignment in action. Everything is energy seeking equilibrium. When you are in harmony with your desires, you and your dream become one vibration. There is no distance left to travel, no separation to overcome. Manifestation becomes the natural outpouring of your inner frequency. The reason alignment feels effortless is because it removes resistance. Resistance is born from fear, doubt, and attachment. When you release these, your energy flows freely. You no longer block your good by clinging to outcomes or demanding control. You trust the process. You know that what is meant for you cannot miss you. You affirm that every delay is divine timing. Every detour a redirection towards something better. Alignment is not about demanding instant results. It is about maintaining steady faith regardless of appearances. When you are aligned, appearances lose their power over you, because you know the unseen is already arranging the scene in your favor. Alignment is remembering who you are. A co-creator with infinite intelligence. You are not separate from the universe, you are an extension of it. The same power that spins the planets beats your heart. The same intelligence that grows the trees grows your dreams. When you stop trying to make things happen, and start aligning with the natural order of good, everything you seek begins to seek you. What once seemed distant becomes near. What once felt difficult becomes simple. What once required effort now flows effortlessly through the harmony of your inner alignment. With divine law, faith replaces force in the flow of life. Because faith is the language of divine order, while force is the expression of fear. When you live by faith, you live in alignment with the unseen intelligence that governs all creation. You no longer need to push, chase, or control. You simply know that what you have spoken in confidence must appear. Force is born from disbelief, from the idea that if you do not struggle, you will not succeed. But faith moves mountains without touching them. Faith is invisible power in motion, the bridge between the unseen and the seen. It is the quiet conviction that the universe has already arranged everything for your good, and that your only task is to believe without wavering. When faith governs your life, peace replaces anxiety, clarity replaces confusion, and manifestation becomes natural. Faith is not wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is spiritual certainty. It is knowing that beyond appearances, there is a higher law at work, and that this law always brings forth the perfect outcome when you trust it completely. Force, on the other hand, relies on effort, tension, and control. It is the belief that the outer world must be manipulated for inner desires to come true. But every time you attempt to force life, you affirm that the divine is not capable of fulfilling its promise. You declare, through your actions and fears, that you must do it all yourself. Faith releases that burden. It hands the heavy weight of worry to the higher intelligence that already knows the way. Faith says, I do not need to understand how. I only need to know that it is done. That statement opens doors that struggle could never unlock. When you live by force, you create friction. You push against life, against timing, against yourself. You tire your spirit trying to make things happen that would have come to you naturally had you rested in trust. Force delays the flow because it sends out a vibration of doubt. The energy of trying too hard tells the universe you do not believe you already have what you desire. But faith declares, I already possess it in spirit. That declaration invites it into form. The more you relax into faith, the more smoothly life unfolds. Things begin to arrange themselves without your interference. People appear. Opportunities align. Paths open. Faith is effortless power. While force is powerless effort, faith is not passive. It is profoundly active on an unseen level. When you believe something with all your being, you set universal forces into motion. You become magnetic to everything that resonates with your conviction. Faith activates divine law the moment it is spoken. When you affirm, everything is working out for me, life immediately begins to move toward that statement. When you declare, I am divinely guided, your steps are ordered without you knowing how. Faith transforms invisible energy into visible outcomes. You cannot see the mechanism, but you can feel its assurance. That feeling of calm certainty is the evidence that the unseen is working on your behalf. Force cannot create this. It only agitates the mind and scatters energy. Faith gathers energy into focused creation. It does more in stillness than force can do in motion. To live by faith means to release the need to control the process. The mind wants to figure out every step, but faith trusts the unfolding. It knows that the divine plan is perfect even when you cannot see its design. Faith does not demand proof, it becomes proof. It does not look for signs, it creates them. Every person who has manifested great things did so through faith, not through the frantic energy of force. They held their vision, trusted the invisible, and allowed life to align circumstances perfectly. The universe is a mirror that reflects the strength of your belief. If you believe deeply, the reflection is powerful. If you doubt, the reflection fades. Faith strengthens the reflection, force distorts it. When you walk in faith, even obstacles become instruments. What seems like delay is actually divine timing. What looks like loss is redirection. What feels like emptiness is preparation. Force interprets setbacks as failure, while faith interprets them as alignment. Faith sees beyond appearances, and knows that every moment is serving the greater picture. When something does not go as planned, faith whispers, something better is coming. That simple shift of belief keeps the flow alive. Force would have you panic, resist, or control. But faith allows you to surrender with grace. In that surrender, miracles happen. The very thing you thought you lost returns multiplied. The opportunity that seemed gone comes back perfected. This is the quiet magic of faith. Faith is the power that calms storms without shouting. It is the authority that speaks to chaos and says, "Peace, be still." It carries the certainty that divine order cannot fail. Force shouts, demands, and worries. But faith speaks with calm authority and watches mountains move. Every time you affirm something in faith, you imprint it upon the unseen substance of the universe. The energy that hears your word begins to form itself around your conviction. This is why words of faith are powerful. They are not mere sounds but creative decrees. When you say, "I am provided for," "I am healed," "I am favored," and you believe it, the vibration of those words becomes flesh in your experience. But if you force it, if you beg, doubt, or plead, you cancel your own command. Faith is not begging, it is knowing. It is standing still and letting the power within you perform what you have declared. The moment you choose faith, the energy around you shifts. You no longer wake up with anxiety, you wake up with expectancy. You no longer wonder if things will work out, you know they already have. This inner transformation changes your outer world. People sense your calm and confidence. Situations that once caused stress now unfold with ease. You begin to notice synchronicities, signs that confirm your alignment. You may think of someone and they call you. You may visualize an opportunity and it appears. These are not coincidences, they are the flow of faith replacing the struggle of force. Faith synchronizes you with the rhythm of divine timing, where everything happens effortlessly at the right moment. Faith operates through imagination and gratitude. When you imagine the outcome you desire, and feel grateful as though it were already yours, you strengthen your connection to it. Force imagines the worst and fears loss, while faith imagines the best and celebrates it before it arrives. Gratitude in advance is the highest form of faith. When you thank life for blessings unseen, you are proclaiming that you trust their arrival. The universe responds to that vibration instantly. It says, "This one believes, let it be done." Every act of gratitude speeds manifestation. Every act of worry delays it. Faith says, "It is already so." Force says, "It is not yet enough." The one statement creates flow, the other creates resistance. Faith also brings rest. Not the rest of idleness, but the rest of certainty. When you know the outcome is assured, you no longer live in tension. You act from inspiration, not obligation. You move because you are guided, not because you are desperate. That is the essence of divine flow. You become a vessel for perfect timing. The right actions arise naturally, and you no longer waste energy on fear-driven motion. This is why faith is more efficient than force. It directs your energy with precision. You stop scattering your power across 100 worries, and instead focus it on one unwavering belief. The power that created universes moves through that belief and manifests results that seem miraculous. To walk in faith is to understand that your good is not somewhere outside of you. It is already established within you. When you align your inner knowing with that truth, outer circumstances adjust accordingly. Faith draws the unseen into the seen by resting in certainty, while force pushes against life and delays the miracle. Every time you let go of control, every time you replace effort with trust, you allow the divine current to carry you forward effortlessly. In that flow, you realize that life has never required your struggle. It has only ever asked for your faith. Surrender opens the door to effortless success, because surrender is not giving up but giving over. To divine intelligence. To the flow of life. To the higher order that knows more than your limited mind ever could. The moment you stop struggling against what is, the universe begins to work for you instead of against you. Surrender is the act of releasing resistance. It is the sacred trust that allows life to lead the way while you follow in calm confidence. Most people misunderstand surrender. They think it means weakness, but in truth, it is the greatest strength. It is the recognition that there is a greater wisdom orchestrating every detail of your life, and that your role is not to control but to cooperate. The more you try to force outcomes, the more tangled the path becomes. But the moment you surrender control and affirm that everything is unfolding in divine perfection, obstacles dissolve, timing aligns, and results appear as if by magic. When you surrender, you move from anxiety to assurance. You stop asking, "How will this happen?" and start saying, I trust that it will. That single shift transforms your energy completely. Worry is resistance, trust is flow. Every time you let go of the need to control, you create space for solutions to appear naturally. You cannot receive guidance while your mind is full of fear and tension. The voice of divine direction speaks in stillness, not in chaos. Surrender is the stillness that allows you to hear it. It is the quiet confidence that whispers, all is well, and I am guided perfectly. When you surrender, your energy becomes light, your mind becomes clear, and your actions become inspired rather than desperate. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer plan endlessly, you allow inspiration to lead. That is the secret of effortless success. Letting go of effort, and letting the infinite intelligence within you take charge. Surrender begins with the acceptance of the present moment. You cannot flow forward while resisting where you are. Many people try to manifest from frustration, believing that they must escape their current reality before they can be happy. But surrender means blessing the now, even if it feels incomplete. Gratitude for the present moment dissolves resistance to the future. The instant you stop fighting what is, you realign with what can be. You are not meant to battle life. You are meant to dance with it. When you accept your current situation as a stepping stone, rather than a stumbling block, the energy of possibility reawakens. Acceptance does not mean complacency. It means peace with what is, knowing it will evolve into something greater. From that peace, inspired action flows, and success follows effortlessly. Surrender also requires releasing attachment to outcomes. Attachment creates fear because the mind believes that happiness depends on one specific result. But the universe always sees a larger picture. When you are fixated on how something must unfold, you block better possibilities from entering. Surrender means trusting that if something does not go as you planned, something higher is on its way. It is saying, I release my limited idea of what I think I need, and allow what is truly meant for me to arrive. That openness creates miracles. The things you thought you lost often return in new, more fulfilling forms. The opportunities you feared missing are replaced by doors that lead exactly where you are meant to be. Life cannot surprise you when you hold it too tightly, but the moment you open your hand, it fills it with blessings beyond what you imagined. When you live in surrender, synchronicities become your new normal. You begin to notice that everything is connected, that every delay, every detour, every chance encounter is part of a larger design. The people you meet are not random. The timing of events is not coincidence. The universe is weaving a perfect pattern through your experiences, and surrender allows you to see its beauty. When you resist, you only see fragments. When you surrender, you see the whole. This awareness changes how you move through life. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, how is this happening for me? That single change in perspective turns obstacles into teachers and challenges into guides. The more you trust this divine orchestration, the more effortlessly life unfolds in your favor. Surrender also brings relief from mental exhaustion. Trying to control everything is draining because it puts you in constant opposition to the natural flow of events. The mind believes it must fix, plan, and manage every detail, but that endless effort only creates tension. Surrender gives you rest without inactivity. It is a calm, alert awareness that allows life to work through you. When you stop insisting that everything must happen your way, you open to the infinite intelligence that knows exactly how to bring your desires to fruition. This intelligence does not operate in confusion, it moves through harmony. When you align with it through surrender, everything you need begins to appear without force. The right ideas, the right people, the right timing, all flow into your experience effortlessly, because you are no longer blocking them with your need to control. The ego thrives on control, but the spirit thrives on surrender. The ego says, I must make this happen. The spirit says, I allow it to happen through me. The ego fears uncertainty. The spirit rests in it. The ego sees chaos, the spirit sees divine choreography. When you live from the ego, you fight with life. When you live from spirit, you flow with it. Surrender is the art of letting the spirit lead. It is stepping aside and allowing divine wisdom to arrange everything for your highest good. You are never without guidance, but your resistance often drowns it out. When you quiet your mind and release control, you hear that gentle inner voice that always knows the next step. You realize that success does not come from effort, but from alignment with that inner guidance. Each inspired action that follows surrender carries more power than 1,000 forced efforts. Surrender transforms struggle into flow. Think of a river. It never fights its path. It curves, bends, and adapts, yet it always reaches the ocean. The same intelligence that guides the river guides your life. When you resist the current, you exhaust yourself swimming against it. When you let go, you discover that the current was carrying you all along. Surrender allows you to move with life's rhythm rather than against it. This is how success becomes effortless. Not because you stop acting, but because your actions are now in harmony with divine timing. When you take steps from surrender, every movement is guided, every decision supported, every outcome blessed. You feel lighter, more peaceful, more certain that life itself is conspiring to help you succeed. To truly surrender, you must also surrender your fears. Fear is the only force that resists flow. It whispers that if you let go, things will fall apart. But the truth is that everything falls into place when you release fear's grip. Fear closes your energy, faith opens it. Surrender and fear cannot coexist because one trusts while the other doubts. The moment you surrender your fears, the universe fills the space they once occupied with clarity and peace. You begin to see that what you feared losing was never real security. The real security was always within you. Surrender does not take away your power. It multiplies it by connecting you to the source of all power. When you live from that connection, success becomes a natural expression of your being. Surrender is also an act of love. Love for yourself, for life, and for the intelligence that created you. It is saying, I trust that I am being guided by something greater than myself, and I release the need to struggle. This love creates harmony within you, and harmony within you creates harmony around you. People respond differently to your energy. Doors open without effort. Conflicts resolve without confrontation. Solutions appear without searching. That is the quiet power of surrender. It softens what force hardens, it heals what fear divides, it harmonizes what confusion distorts. Through surrender, you remember that success is not something you achieve. It is something you allow. It flows to you when you become one with the current of divine ease. In that sacred flow, all that once seemed difficult begins to unfold with simplicity, grace, and perfect timing.